Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing. And we're back for episode number 69. You can't see my video, but I am waggling my eyebrows like a madman. And there are so many obvious jokes for this particular episode number, but we're a clean family podcast, so we're not going to go there. Aditya and I are back for another round of quizzing. And let's start off today's episode with our usual audience question. This is a question I ask at the top of the episode and answer at the end of the episode. The audience has the duration of this episode to try and find out or guess the answer. So the question for today: in 1984, Raghunandan Srinivas Kamath started selling pav bhaji with this dessert as an add-on. He had worked at his brother's South Indian eatery long enough to know how much Indians love to end a meal on a sweet note. The simple idea of offering something cold after a hot and spicy dish worked, and he clocked a revenue of 500,000 rupees in the first year from his own tiny 200 square feet shop in Juhu Koliwada area in Mumbai. A year later, he stopped selling pav bhaji and started a full-fledged dessert brand. Such was the demand that it caused frequent traffic jams in the tiny bylanes of Juhu. Fast forward 40 years and it's grown to around 135 different outlets in various cities and has been named once as one of India's top 10 brands for customer experience in a KPMG survey. Which dessert brand are we talking about? I will answer this question at the end of today's episode. Now I will pass the baton to Aditya, who had asked us a not-so-serious question last week, and to which he will find some crazy answer, and which it has been pointed out to me by a couple of our listeners that his answers are moving quite often into the area of paranoia and conspiracy. So there have been questions raised as to whether Aditya is okay. I just want to tell all of them that all is well. This is just how he is. So, Aditya, what's your crazy conspiracy theory for this week?
If only the sheeple would wake up, because I am the one who is
oh God,
bringing light to darkness. All these young cattle following the crowd. And speaking of young cattle, you know what the young of another animal is called? Joey. A young kangaroo is called a joey.
Yes.
That is the answer to last week's question. Now let me tell you what last week's question was. Because I asked, just like KFC sponsored a film, The Secret Recipe, which Indian brand sponsored a film or a TV show? And the answer was staring us right in the face. Well, I don't know, it was staring me in the face because I have a Friends poster. And it is Joey, the show Joey. Sponsored by? Can you take a guess?
I really don't want to. You look very scary right now.
Britannia, my friend, Britannia. Because Britannia, if you rearrange the letters and you take one of them out and then put one back in, it basically spells Tribbiani. Joey Tribbiani.
Oh, God.
Tell me your mind is not officially blown. That is exactly...
Yeah, something's blown. I think it might be a fuse in your head.
No. The audience has not caught on to what this podcast is truly doing. It is waking them up to realities. You'll all thank me.
Again, public advisory to anybody listening to this episode. This is not what we do. This is just something we try to get out of the way. We actually do have serious quiz questions coming up, which now I will start quickly so that we don't go down another rabbit hole of conspiracy. So Aditya, I have a question that I've been itching to ask you ever since I came across this piece of trivia. So are you ready? Are you sitting down?
I am. Hit me.
The word X in English and Hindi comes from a Sanskrit word, which in turn comes from an older Sanskrit word meaning to sprinkle. Okay? Let me repeat that so you understand every part of the question. The word X in Hindi and English comes from a Sanskrit word, which in turn comes from an older Sanskrit word meaning to sprinkle. The older Sanskrit word is cognate with an ancient Greek word meaning rubbed, And anointed. By cognate, I mean it has the similar kind of origin somewhere in the depths of time and history. So this older Sanskrit word and this ancient Greek word have the same origin somewhere in the mists of history. It is from this ancient Greek word that we get an English word why, which is ubiquitous and was originally intended as a title but is now thought of as a name. So I want you to tell me, what words am I talking about? I will repeat the question, simplify it a little bit. There's a word X, which is common in both English and Hindi, which comes from a Sanskrit word which originally meant to sprinkle. This Sanskrit word is cognate with an ancient Greek word meaning to be rubbed or anointed. And it is from this Greek word that we get an English word why, which is ubiquitous. Everybody knows this word and was originally intended as a title but now is thought of as a name. So, I want you to tell me what these words are. What words am I talking about? Which is the English and Hindi word, which is common, which comes from the Sanskrit meaning to sprinkle, and the English word why, which came originally from the ancient Greek, but it is also cognate with the original Sanskrit word. So, this might sound a little convoluted, but trust me, when you hear the answer, you will be a little shocked. Or at least I hope you'll be shocked. Or at least I pray that you be shocked and express that shock so that my question seems good.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of confluence of different languages. So let's see. When you said it used to mean to sprinkle, I am assuming it isn't used in that context in English or Hindi anymore?
No, it's not used in that context. It's a noun right now.
I see. And asking you to tell me what that noun means would be making it too easy for myself.
Maybe at some point I will give you clues towards that, but not right now. I want to see if you can get anything from there.
The Greek word eventually gave rise to another word in English, which used to be a title but is now a name. Is it a very common name?
It's thought of as a name. It has always been a title, but people think of it, at least the common person, people who are not etymological nerds like us, would think of it as a name. I think maybe 95% of people know of it as a name. It is used, derivations of that word have been used as names all across the world.
Okay. No, I'm not at all sure of what you're getting at.
Okay, so first clue, I think maybe it might be easier for you to get why, so I'll give you a clue for why. As I mentioned, it comes from an ancient Greek word which originally meant rubbed or anointed. Let's focus on anointed. So if you're going to make a title from a word and that's supposed to mean the anointed one, what title would that be?
Oh, that's not an English word. First thing I thought of was Buddha or Buddh.
No. As I mentioned, this is a Greek word which gave rise to an English word.
So then, is it by any chance Christ?
Yes. Okay, so you've got why. So Christ literally means the anointed one. It's a title.
Okay.
It's not a name. But now people think of Christ as a name.
Got it.
So now you have one part of it. Right.
Right.
So now I can be a little more open in giving clues. So Christ came from Christos, which meant rubbed or anointed. Right.
Yeah.
And Christos is cognate with another Sanskrit word which meant to sprinkle. And now that word, okay, we have a derivation of that word in English and Hindi from the original Sanskrit. I wanted to tell me what that word is, and I've told you already, it's a noun. It's the name for something.
Oh, is it a name for a person?
No, it's not the name for a person.
Christos immediately makes me think of Krish Ashok.
No. See, you have to leave the conspiracy theories, at the beginning of the episode. We are getting it out of the way.
I don't know. It was really the most gut reaction I had. Our official pop culture recommendation, Krish Ashok, and his Instagram channel is quite amazing. But coming back to this, Christos is also cognate. Wow, fancy. Cognate with a Sanskrit word which you used to mean to marinate,
Sprinkle.
or to rub, or to sprinkle. Sorry. and that gave rise to an English word and a Hindi word. Are those words the same? Are they homonyms? Do they sound
Yes.
the same? Okay.
They sound the same, and they have the same meaning in both English and Hindi.
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so this is, let's say it's pertaining to food. It's the name of an ingredient.
An ingredient which is the same name in both Hindi and English. There must be a few.
Yes.
Is it a spice or something?
No, it's not a spice. It basically, see, as I mentioned, the original Sanskrit origin word meant to sprinkle. Like you would, in some instances, also sprinkle this. Maybe using a spoon or sometimes a brush.
And not a spice.
Or sometimes just pour. Yeah, not a spice. So you could use a spoon to sprinkle it. You might brush it on. Or you may just pour it. Like if you go to Delhi and Punjab and all, people use this very liberally.
Delhi,
I have no complaints against using it liberally.
Okay.
Yes, it is ghee.
What?
Yes, that was the reaction I was looking for. So, strap on your seatbelt. I'm going to blow your mind. Right?
Okay.
The word ghee comes from the Sanskrit grit or grita, which meant clarified butter, and it originally came from the word ghra. Ghra in Sanskrit originally meant to sprinkle. And ghra is cognate with the ancient Greek word Christos.
Okay.
Ghra, Christos. Christos meant rubbed or anointed.
Okay.
And it is from there that we get the English word Christ. Now, Christ is used by Christians as both a name and a title, unambiguously referring to Jesus. It is also used as a title in the reciprocal usage, Christ Jesus, meaning the Messiah Jesus or Jesus the Anointed, and independently as the Christ. So, now when you think about it, I told you that the Sanskrit word meant to sprinkle and the Greek word meant to rub or to anoint.
That is insane. Wow, it all makes sense. But damn. Okay, I'm still reeling from that. Yeah, that was. Who would have imagined that the word ghee and the word Christ have something in common? They do use ghee in a lot of religious practices in India as well. Oh.
Yeah, and I think holy oils are used for anointing. So there's also, I think, that kind of a connection, because ghee, for those who don't know, is clarified butter, where you remove the milk solids and you're left with just the fat. It is delicious and basically elevates everything.
Wow. Okay, you know what, Vineet? You've called this upon yourself. I'm going to put in a few of my favorite etymology questions in this episode.
God. Okay.
Set me down this path.
It was worth it.
It was a phenomenal question. No two ways about it. Okay, so moving on to yet another etymology question then. X was the name given to the cheapest and the rowdiest seats in a theatre, and these seat occupiers would be known to heckle the performers. You look like you know the answer already.
No. I don't know the answer, but I'm trying to guess it in my head.
Okay. They were served a certain snack, after which this, let's say, row of seats or these rows of seats were named. Some people have also suggested a racial origin to the word, but that's not a commonly accepted origin. And most importantly, it is how we also got the name for one of the most popular and lasting pop culture cornerstones of the 20th century. And interestingly enough, the creator of that was always very unhappy with the name. Never used that name when referring to his creation. So, what is X?
Wow. Okay, you took me out of left field with the food thing. I was thinking of bleacher, but I'm guessing that's not the bleacher seats, but those are obviously not what you're talking about. The second that comes to mind, because you said snacks and whatnot, is greaser. Is it something to do with John Travolta's Grease? Greaser, the greaser culture in the 1950s in America. So there was some snack which were very oily or something like that. I'm just, spitballing here.
That's a pretty great guess, but no, the word grease has more to do with the grease monkey and wanting to tinker around with cars and
Bikes,
automobiles and bikes. Yeah.
So it's still used in the context of seats?
I think so. Yeah, it is still used somewhat in that context.
Okay. The served snack. This creator did not like the name.
So I'll give you one clue. Iconic pop culture artifact that I speak of, before it was given the name X, was called Little Folks.
Little Folks.
Lil. So it's spelled with a L-I apostrophe L.
Little Folks.
Yeah.
Little Folks. Is it Hobbit?
No.
Okay. No. Little Folks. In the context of seats. I knew this had to be a theatre thing. Obviously, if you're asking the question, and I'm woefully inadequate when it comes to the theatre. I remember it still took me a very long time to answer Ghost Light, so this is, I'm guessing, something similar to that. No, dude, I'm blanking.
Okay, so if you ask me, is it still used in the context of theatre seating? So even if it isn't used exactly, it's not like you'd go into a theatre and you'd see a row marked with that name. It's more of an uncommon or informal usage, if at all. But there are phrases which do use it still. And I'll give you an example of a phrase such as quiet in the dash or quiet in the X or no comments from the X. It's used in that kind of a tone because it's the rowdy part of the crowd.
Oh, God. Okay. That tickled something at the back of my brain, but it's not coming to the front. I'm trying to push it, and no comment. No, I'm going to regret it when you tell me the answer. I just know it. Oh no! I'm just not getting it. I know I've heard this, but I'm just not getting it right now. Any other clue, or will you put me out of my misery?
I'll give you one last clue.
Wait! Got it! I got it! Yes, it just hit me right now. No comment from the peanut gallery.
Oh, Vineet, I should never underestimate you. And you should never underestimate you, more importantly. I knew you'd be more than capable of getting that. Yes, it is the peanut gallery. And do you want to tell me what the pop culture artifact is then that I speak of?
Peanuts, maybe.
Peanuts, the comic strip. Yeah, we spoke about it very recently. And that's when I encountered this piece of trivia as well. Peanuts, the comic strip, was actually not named by Charles Schulz. He had called it Lil Folks, and he hated the name Peanuts. So all through his life, whenever somebody asked him what he did or what he worked, or what was he working on, or what was he doing, he would always say that, I do that comic strip about Snoopy and the kids, and he would never want to call it Peanuts. He hated the name. The name Peanuts for the comic strip came from the fact that there was another show, very popular children's show called Howdy Doody. And Howdy Doody used to have very cheap seats for the children to sit on in the live audience whenever they recorded their TV shows. So that section of the audience was called the Peanut Gallery because that's where the kids would sit. It would be the cheap seats. This obviously the original meaning was the Peanut Gallery in the terms of the cheapest seats in the theatre, especially in the days of Vaudeville. And because the least expensive snack to be served there was peanuts, which is what these audience members would throw onto the stage on the performers if they didn't like what was happening, to heckle them.
Yes.
It got to be termed a peanut gallery or the peanuts. And that's how that particular phrase has evolved.
Nice. Brilliant question. I love it. I'm going to move on to something maybe a little similar. Have you heard of Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi?
Rumi, the poet?
Yes. Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, also known as Rumi, was a 13th century Persian poet, Islamic scholar, theologian, and Sufi mystic. Rumi is a Nisba, which is an adjective indicating the person's place of origin, tribal affiliation, or ancestry used at the end of the name. What place does the Nisba indicate? Tell me literally and geographically. What does the Nisba Rumi mean literally, and geographically, what does it mean? Or where does it point to?
Oh, interesting. Rumi, do all roads lead to Rome? Is it Rome that Rumi points to?
Yes, so Rumi means Roman. So geographically, where did Rumi come from?
I'm guessing then the obvious answer is not the right answer. You're not looking for Rome, the capital of Italy.
It is not Rome, the capital of Italy.
Okay.
But it is still Rome.
So I remember this piece of trivia from, those little registers or those long notebooks that we used to have back in school or used in our tuitions. And on the last page of it, there'd be little facts mentioned always.
Trivia, yes.
I think that was my first introduction to trivia and how much I loved it. I think I remember reading Rome is one of the only names of a city that is found on every continent, barring Antarctica, I assume. So Rome, I'm assuming someplace Rome in Asia, that some city that has the name.
No, you're not. No, that's not exactly how this works. It does mean, Rumi does mean Roman, but it's not after a particular city. So make of that what you will.
So when you say Roman, you're still referring to Roman as in the Italy Roman, but you're saying it does not refer to Rome, the city. Interesting. That is convoluted.
My clue for you would be think of it as an adjective rather than a proper noun for a name or place.
Oh, okay. So is it Romani, perhaps? The same word that would give. Yeah. Is that the word?
Gypsy? No. I mean, like, if that were true, people would, in India, would have pounced on it a long time ago because the Romani come from Rajasthan. And if Rumi was descended from them, we would have claimed him a long time ago.
True.
But no. It's actually a little more straightforward. Maybe I've misled you with the clues a little bit, but it is a little more straightforward. Rumi does mean Roman, but geographically, how did he get this name, even though he did not come from Rome, the city?
I'm assuming he did not visit Rome either, because that would also be a very obvious answer.
I don't think he visited Rome, not Rome in Italy. I don't think he visited that place. But see, again, I'm going to repeat the clue once more. Rumi does mean Roman. So this is like saying Jalaluddin Muhammad the Roman, right? However, the Roman in this case does not directly refer to the city of Rome.
No, I got that.
And he was not born anywhere near Rome. So geographically, how does that work out?
Is it by any chance one of those cases where, like you refer to a city as like, oh, it's the Paris of India?
No, not the sobriquet. It's a little more straightforward.
No, yeah. You'll have to tell me the answer.
Okay, so let me, one last time. I think I may have pushed you a little too much on this. This is actually quite simple, but I think I may have overcomplicated it. Still, okay, Rumi, where do you think Rumi was born? Like, which area in general?
I'm going to say, let's say, Tehran.
Maybe a little more to the west.
A little more to the west of Tehran. Are we talking somewhere closer to Mecca, Medina?
A little north of that.
Just gonna geo-guess on my way there. North of Mecca and Medina would be, let's say, Israel then. Somewhere in present-day Israel.
No, for a little more up north.
You're just
okay, where the twain meet. Where the two meet. That's my clue. Where do the two meet?
Istanbul?
Okay. So it is Turkey, present-day Anatolia. That's where he was born. That's where he was from, at least.
Okay.
Right. But, okay, if he was in Istanbul or Anatolia or Turkey, present-day Turkey, why would he have gotten the name the Roman?
Interesting. Was he from the northern side of Istanbul, the European side of Istanbul?
No, it's actually simpler than that.
Okay, just put me on my misery. I have no
Okay, this is going to sound so... You're going to be so angry at me, not at the answer. You're going to be angry at me because I've just led you around this wild goose chase. So, at that point of time, in the 13th century, Turkey was a part of the Byzantine Empire. And what was the Byzantine Empire known as? It was known as the Eastern Roman Empire.
Oh, okay.
So after Rome grew beyond a certain point, it had two different capitals. Right, it had Rome and it had Constantinople. And then those kingdoms kind of separated and you had the classical Roman Empire how do I put this, decline. But the Byzantine Empire persisted for a long time, and it was still known as the Eastern Roman Empire. So because Jalaluddin Muhammad came from the Byzantine Empire, which is known as the Eastern Roman Empire, he was known as Jalaluddin Muhammad the Roman, and hence the name, the Nisba, Rumi, and now we only know him as Rumi or the Roman.
Yeah, you're right. I do dislike that. Yeah, because I was trying to.
I am the sorry, my boy.
I was trying to make so much sense out of it. But no, that's a great question also, because I had no clue that Rumi was a Nisba, or we are actually saying the Roman when we say Rumi. I love that. Okay. So let's move from a 13th century poet to a 20th and 21st century actor. And specifically, I'm going to talk about an Oscar-winning actor and their Oscar-winning performance. So, Cate Blanchett is a very famous actor who has received an Oscar for the movie, Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 2005 for which movie?
I cannot recall off the top of my head right now.
It's
Cate
The
Blanchett,
Aviator.
no.
Martin Scorsese.
Oh, yeah,
The Aviator.
Martin Scorsese, The Aviator, yeah.
Exactly. What is unique about this victory that hasn't happened since and had never happened before about this particular Oscar win?
I think it's the only time an actor or actress has won an Oscar for playing another Oscar-winning actor or actress.
Come on, man. What? How could you have? I was like, he's going to be so annoyed because that is so vaguely phrased. And I would have to give a lot more clues. Oh, God. Yeah, you're right. All right, fine. Take it. Take the points. It is, as Vineet mentioned, the only time an Oscar has been awarded to somebody for playing a real-life person who themselves was an Oscar winner. In this case, Cate Blanchett won the Oscar for her portrayal of Katharine Hepburn. The famous actor herself, in the movie The Aviator.
To be fair, I have actually watched The Aviator 4 times when it released.
Oh, wow. I have not seen The Aviator.
Okay. It was a great movie. So I remember when it released, I was still in college, and I went and saw it first. I loved the movie. I told a couple of friends, and then they weren't able to come as a group. So we ended up going twice separately in 2 separate groups, and they both dragged me along. And I think I was then doing a movie binge where I sometimes went to a theater, watched one movie, went to another theater, watched another one, and then another one. Yeah, I used to do all kinds of crazy things, unnecessarily crazy things, which make no sense to me today. But I think this was one of the filler movies, so then I watched it again. So yeah, so I've seen The Aviator 4 times in theaters. So I remember her playing Katharine Hepburn. So then I kind of took it from there.
Yeah, well, you got that way too quickly. So let's move on to your question.
Okay, so this is going to sound like a very simple question, and it is a very simple question, so you will get this very quickly. There are 2 common theories with regards to X's last words. Okay, so we're talking about the last words of this person, X. The 2 theories are, number 1 is that he said nothing, that he actually did not say anything, that there were no last words. I mean, technically at the point of death, there were no last words. It's not like he never said any words at the end. Okay. So at the point of death...
I'm gonna pause you right there. And since you have been flexing this episode, I'm going to try to guess who you're going for at this point, which is barely any clues. Are you, by any chance, referring to Einstein?
No.
Ah, damn it. Oh, what a wasted flex. What an absolute waste of a flex.
Phew.
Okay, fine.
Phew. Okay, I was starting to sweat when you started. I mean, I was not even 1/3 of the way through the question and you were going to... I'm like, oh my God. Okay. No. Coming back, audience members, come back to us. So, there are 2 common theories with regards to X's last words. The first theory is that he said nothing. The second theory is that he said, you too, blank.
Oh.
Okay, there are 3 words, you too, blank.
Okay.
In the first theory, according to the first theory, when X was attacked, he first shouted, "Why? This is violence," and then spoke no more until he died.
Uh-huh.
The second theory, Plutarch says that X fought back and tried to escape, but gave up when he saw Y.
Okay.
So I want you to identify X, Y, and also fill in the blanks for the last words that I mentioned, which was U2 followed by a word blank.
I'm assuming there's more to this question because the obvious answer is Caesar. And
Okay.
and he saw Brutus and
Okay. And
And
what
he
was
said-
what were his last words?
you to Brutus, et to Brutus.
Okay, so
Uh,
X is indeed Gaius Julius Caesar.
uh,
Y is indeed Marcus Junius Brutus. But his actual final words were not et tu Brute, as we see in Shakespeare, or you to Brutus. It is something else. So what were Julius Caesar's actual last words?
okay, got it.
There's a twist in the tale.
So it wasn't you to Brutus, but it was something you to dash, is what you said, right?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this I've never heard. Was it a nickname that he had for Brutus, I'm guessing?
Somewhere similar. I'm not going to give you an exact one, but yeah, you are in the ballpark. Let's say that.
So is it then the whatever would have been the Greek word for, sorry, not the Greek, I'm saying, whatever would have been the Roman word for friend? Is it you to friend?
They were friends, which is why apparently Caesar stopped struggling when he saw that Brutus was among his attackers. But maybe I'll give you a point of history which might actually give you closer to the word. So, as you know, Julius Caesar and Brutus were very old friends. What many people don't know is that Caesar is known to have had a love affair with Brutus's mother, Sevilla.
Okay.
So I would ask you to maybe focus on maybe the age difference between them or the generational difference between them, and then what would be the word that he used.
Oh, okay. Then I'm gonna guess it's something like you to child or you to son or something like that.
Yes, it is you too, child.
Okay. Wow, interesting. I did not even know that there was such a big time age difference between the two. And
I mean, I don't
you
know if
two-
there's a huge age difference, but he did have a relationship with. That's the part of the clue that I wanted to give you. Yeah, but yeah. So the actual final words of Gaius Julius Caesar were "you too, child." William Shakespeare's Latin rendition of this phrase "et tu, Brute," which means "you too, Brutus," in the play Julius Caesar, is better known in modern culture, but is not found anywhere in the ancient sources.
Interesting.
But it has taken a life of its own. Et tu, Brute, or you too, Brutus is now used as a pop culture reference. People use it, to denote any kind of betrayal which comes out of the blue, especially from a close friend.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. That is a TIL for me. Yeah, I did know that the you too, Brutus was Shakespeare's concoction, but I did not know that you too, child he referred to, or thought of Brutus as a child. Man, that makes it so much harder. Oh,
Yeah, I that's where I don't understand. That was such a great emotional moment that Shakespeare could have used.
Yeah.
But now Brutus has become synonymous with a close friend who betrays you. So I guess that worked out well as well.
I guess Shakespeare has some lasting legacy. I suppose we can give him that much.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Okay. Interesting, actually. Sorry, random thought, but would Shakespeare be considered in like the top 5 of people who have had a lasting legacy in the last 1,000 years?
Oh yes, especially with the English language. Yes, I once went down this rabbit hole of names, people, proper names, which appear for the first time in Shakespearean plays, and that list would astonish you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe you should make a listicle question of it sometime.
Maybe I shall.
Okay. That was quite the question and quite the little piece of trivia. So, hopefully this piece of trivia blows your mind as well. So I want you to tell me why in the Chilean village, in a particular Chilean village, everybody is required to have their appendix removed by law.
There's a village in Chile where everybody has to have their appendix removed by law?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now that's something new. Is there a particular age group where they do this, or is it done like when is it done?
It doesn't matter. If you are a resident of that place, you have to have your appendix removed. So if you were born there, I guess it would be done around the time of your birth. But if not, when you were born, then whenever you move there.
Wow, that's risky. But wow, the appendix is a vestigial organ. It doesn't particularly have any straightforward function apart from being inconvenient when it gets inflamed and infected. Is there something in the diet there that causes a disproportionate number of acute appendicitis cases, which therefore the government has put a precautionary measure? But it sounds silly to think of it that way.
No.
Or it's Chile you mentioned, right? I'm going to now go down a conspiracy dark hole. So was there some Nazi scientist who, a lot of Nazi scientists escaped to South America, especially to Argentina and Chile? So did a Nazi mad medical scientist from one of the Holocaust camps, the concentration camp, settle down, become the mayor and make this rule so that he could add to his collection of appendices?
I would imagine that at some point the rule like that would be revoked, especially with such a dark origin. So no, that is not the answer.
Okay, so that's not it.
Yeah.
Took a shot. No, dude, I'll need some clue. I have no idea.
Okay, interesting. So I'm gonna give you a clue which is not exactly about this village, but it is around it. Because, say, the companion village of this place, the Argentinian version, that place, the motto is permanence, an act of sacrifice.
So you literally have to sacrifice a body part to live there?
In the Argentinian place, well, you don't have to sacrifice a body part, but you have to make sacrifices.
Again, is this somebody who's taken Shakespeare too seriously, like a pound of flesh, you give me 2 grams of flesh?
No. It makes all the logical sense in the world to have these restrictions in place.
Logical sense to have your appendix removed when there's nothing wrong with it? Is this an etymology thing? Like the appendix is technically known as a vermiform appendix or something to do with worms and nothing like that?
No. The actual appendix in the body, the vestigial organ as you mentioned.
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, so let me tell you, both the Chilean version and the Argentinian version are not on the mainland Chile or mainland Argentina.
Oh, okay. I think I have this. So the Chilean and Argentinian countries have a lot of these islands in the Pacific Ocean which are very, very far away. So if a medical emergency happens and somebody has an suffers from appendicitis, by the time that they are shipped to the mainland, they would probably suffer from a burst appendix leading to peritonitis and then probably death. So to prevent that from happening, they decide that, okay, if you're going to live here, you better not have an appendix.
You are very, very close. I will, however, ask you to refine that answer just slightly because this is the case only with these two countries and no other country in the world for this specific location. So tell me what the location is.
Wait, are these Antarctic villages, like both Chile and Argentina, very close to the South Pole? So they must have an Antarctic station or something like that.
Chile and Argentina are the only two which have a permanent outpost, permanent village, permanent settlement on Antarctica. The Chilean one is called Villa las Estrellas, which is the Spanish phrase meaning the stars village or the hamlet of the stars. A beautiful name.
Oh, nice.
And the Argentinian one is called Esperanza Base. So Esperanza Base, the motto is, now that would make sense to you, permanence, an act of sacrifice. It is one of the only two stations which are permanently occupied. And
Okay.
for the Chilean one, by law, you're supposed to have your appendix removed. Even though they do have some medical facilities, obviously, they can't do any complex surgery. So if you ever want to go reside there, and there are residents all year round, if you want to go reside there, even if you are a child, and there are children there as well, you would have to have your appendix removed. You are not allowed to be there with your appendix. Yeah.
Very nice. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they have to have their appendix removed. I like the trivia.
Oh, sure, mate, sure.
Okay. I think that's all the time we have for our regular round of questions. So let's start winding up today's episode. So I had asked an audience question at the beginning of today's episode. I hope at least a few of you have guessed it because this was in the news recently. In 1984, Raghunandan Srinivas Kamath started selling pav bhaji with this dessert as an add-on. He had worked in his brother's South Indian eatery long enough to know how much Indians love to end a meal on a sweet note. The simple idea of offering something cold after a hot and spicy dish worked, and he clocked a revenue of 500,000 rupees in the first year from his own tiny 200 square feet shop in the Juhu Koliwara area. A year later, he stopped selling pav bhaji and started a full-fledged dessert brand. Such was the demand that it caused frequent traffic jams in the tiny by-lanes of Juhu. Fast forward 40 years, it's grown to more than 135 outlets in various cities and was once named as one of India's top 10 brands for customer experience in a KPMG survey. Which dessert brand are we talking about? Aditya, any ideas?
I had this last night for dessert. It is Naturals.
Yes, it is indeed Naturals ice cream. And Raghunandan Kamath has just recently passed away. So this is a kind of tribute to him because Naturals is one of my favorite ice cream brands.
Absolutely. Do you know what is the first scoop ever served at
the
I do not. Outlet at Juhu? I was at the Juhu outlet last night, and on the wall they have this piece of trivia right there. So I just read it last night. Take a guess. Take a guess what the first scoop was.
Vanilla. But Naturals is known for fruit ice cream, so then maybe mango.
Probably mango came. I'm assuming mango came about slightly later. Something a lot more common, but you're right, fruit.
Lot more common fruit. India, they have a great jackfruit ice cream. Don't tell me it's jackfruit.
No, it's not jackfruit. I'm assuming jackfruit was one of the wackier ice cream flavors that probably originated.
Strawberry then.
Strawberry ice cream was the first scoop that was ever served at a Juhu outlet of Naturals, which was the first outlet, yeah. That is.
Yeah. And for those who've never had Naturals ice cream, their USP is their ice cream contains actual fruit, not flavoring. So they have a lot of seasonal flavors which come and go, and they're just fantastic.
No, it is a very interesting case study for how a brand can grow under multiple leaders and people at the helm, because under the founder, he insisted that there be highest quality control. So he did not even want the supply chain to expand too much. So it was all within Mumbai and the nearby regions. And I think it's his son who decided that they can expand while keeping the quality in place as well. And that has happened to be the case. So now when all of these big cities, Delhi and other metros in India, when they have Naturals, it's because the son decided to expand. But even today, the ice cream in Mumbai is made in the original factory in Kandivali, one of the localities in Mumbai. Yeah.
And I happened to ask it to a guy who literally was there last night. Talk about coincidence.
Yes.
And this is not a pop culture recommendation, but this is a culinary recommendation. My two favorite ice cream brands in India, one obviously is Naturals because they're just fantastic in their choices and the fruits and just the freshness, and it's just amazing. And second would be, maybe I'm biased because I spent a lot of time in Mangalore over the years, but Ideal's ice cream. They have some banger ice creams. Their butterscotch royale is without a doubt the best butterscotch ice cream in the world, and I will fight you for it.
Okay. I will take your word for it. I will not argue at all. Lovely.
Okay, so any pop culture recommendations, Aditya, this week?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to give you the name of a book which was recommended to me very recently. and I have only started with it, but it already sounds phenomenal and is a fantastic read. It's called Strangers Drowning. So for the first time, I'm actually giving a non-fiction recommendation, I believe. Yeah. Oh, I have given another non-fiction recommendation before. But yes, this is the second time I'm giving a non-fiction recommendation. Strangers Drowning. It's about grappling with the idealism in the world and how people who are at the very opposite end of the spectrum of, say, psychopathy. So, say, psychopaths who are have no sense of empathy for anybody else. The opposite of the spectrum would be people who have too much idealism, too much empathy. How even they end up somehow, in one way, shape, or form, ruining their lives. It's almost a case study. It's a very interesting book. A friend recommended it to me recently, and I got around to reading a little bit of it, and I thought it's worth recommending. So check out Strangers Drowning. I'll also recommend a movie that I saw recently, and that would be Challengers. Challengers is a movie that you should check out. It's probably still in theaters in a lot of places. It is about a trio, a trifecta, and it stars Zendaya and two other actors I'm forgetting the names of.
This is a tennis movie. I'd seen the trailer for it.
Tennis movie, and I might have qualified it as, check out a great sports movie. But in this case, I feel it is more than just a sports movie, which is perhaps the biggest compliment I can give. So yeah, check out these two things: the book Strangers Drowning and the movie Challengers.
Great. I am going to recommend a trilogy of books. I'm on a kind of a fantasy kick right now. I've been reading a lot of fantasy-based fiction. So I've just come across this trilogy. I've read 2 of the 3 books. Let me just be candid. I'm about to start the third, but I feel confident in the quality of these 2 books that I think I can recommend the entire trilogy so far. The trilogy is called the Devabad trilogy. It's by an author called S.A. Chakraborty. And the books are The City of Brass, The Kingdom of Copper, and The Empire of Gold. Now, why I really like this trilogy is because when you're talking about traditional fantasy, high fantasy fiction, it's usually very European oriented. It has elements from European mythology, European history, and European folklore, right? Now, the name S.A. Chakraborty might sound Indian or Bengali, but the person is actually an American who's married into, I don't know whether the husband is Bengali or Indian or Bangladeshi, I'm not sure of that, but they're also a converted Muslim. So you have these great perspectives. You know, she has grown up as an American, she's married to somebody from Asia, and she's now following a faith from the Middle East. So all 3 of these have kind of informed the mystical landscape that she's created for these books. It's called the Devabad trilogy. It's set in areas similar to what we would recognize as Persia and Saudi Arabia, and the mysticism or the mythology of the series draws a lot from Islamic folklore and Islamic myths, which is a fresh take. I find it's something very different because we are so used to elves and trolls and all those other wizards and sorcerers. So this is something slightly different. You are reading about jinns and ifrits, and it's a Persian setting and all those things. So it's a great series. I've read 2 of them. I just couldn't stop reading them. And I'm just eagerly waiting to start the third one, which is The Empire of Gold. So I would recommend the Devabad's trilogy. In addition, because I have been told that, to keep some recommendations for movies as well. So there is a Malayalam movie. Again, I've been recommending a lot of Malayalam movies, but this is available on Disney Hotstar. Check it out. It's called Nyandugalda Nattil Oru Idavela. I know that sounds horrendously difficult for somebody who's not Malayali to pronounce, but it literally means an interlude in the land of the crab.
Okay.
It is a laugh out loud, feel good movie about a family who's going through a very terrible crisis when the matriarch of the family is diagnosed with breast cancer. But it is presented in a very light-hearted manner, and it is laugh out loud in some instances. It's a feel-good movie, something you can just watch without having to put too much emotion into it. But there is a lot of... it's just masterful the way they've played out such a serious situation in a funny manner. So Nyandugalda Nattil Uridavela. It is available on Disney Hotstar with subtitles. So I would recommend everyone to go watch that as well.
Cool. Very cool.
So that is all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you all for joining in, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. As usual, we hope that you subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform wherever you're listening to us. Just take 2 seconds out of your day to hit that like button, subscribe, notifications, and also give us a 5-star rating. It helps us reach a wider audience and allows more people to discover and enjoy the show. We'd also love to hear from you, feedback, suggestions, and even trivia. If there's a question that you want asked on the show, you can just send us a mail at areyouquizzingme@gmail.com with the name of the quizmaster who you want to ask the question in the subject line. I just want to point out that Ayush, one of our regular followers, has sent in some questions to us. I'm sorry, Ayush, we've not gotten down to it, but I will in the next couple of episodes. You can reach us on Instagram at areyouquizzingme. We also have a subreddit, r/areyouquizzingme, where you can join our community of fans who seem to be enjoying it. They keep posting. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day.
Before I sign off, I got to point out that on the Reddit, one of our listeners, one of our most regular listeners, I would say, has found the MasterChef episode and posted that. And this is... So, if you do go onto Reddit, skip that post. But yeah, the rest of the Reddit subreddit is worth checking out and being a part of. There's some, people posting there pretty regularly. So I can't believe somebody actually put in the effort to find out where that MasterChef episode, my God.
To be fair, the entire episode is available for free on YouTube and is literally the first thing that comes up when you search.
Yeah, but I've been avoiding giving people that for so long, and somebody found it so easily. I'm honestly a bit impressed, yeah. But thank you so much to all our dear listeners who have been following and keeping up with us. It's so much fun to do it. Just because there are people out there who also enjoy trivia as much as we do. So on that note, see you guys next week.
Bye.